Hi everybody, thank you again for joining us today on this session. Okay, bear with us. Let me pin this. Right, thanks. Hi Daniel. Hi Michelle. Hi Rex. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so in today's session, right, what we want to talk about is how does one identify the gaps in the property market today, right? We've had a lot of questions from clients who are really confused actually as to what's happening in the market today. Cause as compared to the previous crises, you know, there was a huge drop in prices, and which is something that
we aren't really seeing happening now. So there have been clients who were like, why aren't the prices dropping? We've been waiting for so long. But yeah.
Yeah, so you know, we won't go into the details of, like, you know, how do you time the market, what's happening to the market, but we thought we could share something a little bit more interesting, which is where are the gaps in the market if you are an investor, if you are somebody looking to buy your own your first property, somebody is even looking to upgrade, right? How do you spot these gaps and how do you utilize these gaps to maximize your capital appreciation? So let's get into it, right? But before we do that, I just wanted to have a little poll, right? To see who are the you know, type of buyers who are here with us today, right? So if you are a first timer, you are an investor, you're looking to invest or you're looking to upgrade, right?
Or maybe buy a second property.
Yeah, drop us a comment, right? So that we know how do we angle or how do we suggest, right? What do we look out for, right? Based on the feedback that we get. Okay, so how does one, right, or what are the gaps in the property market today? Okay, so we have a very easy definition, right? Basically, it's areas where there's high demand and low supply. All right, basically, as a property owner, you want to know which are the areas that will provide you with a steady stream of potential buyers when you want to sell in the future. Okay, and as we move along, right, you'll see that, you know, as much as what we are saying sounds like trying to foresee the future, right, tell the future, it's not as hard to predict as you think it is. And we're going to share with you how do we do this moving forward. Okay, and this is something that we share with a lot of our clients that's looking to buy properties today, is that one has to be able to visualize who you're going to sell your property to in the future. If you cannot, right, then that is a problem, which an example that I like to raise is a one-bedroom penthouse, right? Sounds like a good idea, right? Especially when you buy it, if they do up the show flat nicely, or if the
PSF is really low.
Yeah, right, freehold, good location, things like that, right? But in the resale market, these properties are notoriously hard to sell because there's simply no basically no buyers out there looking for this kind of properties, right? Okay, so next, Elizabeth.
Oh yes, okay. So next, we like to think about who are the buyers that we want to target when we sell. So normally there are your investor buyers and your own stay buyers. So I think the thing to think about over here the point we want to share is who will pay you more for your property when you are selling? A person who is investing or a person who needs to buy your property for own stay. So that's just a thought we like to think about for this, and from the own stay buyers, then you know you split them up into two different groups. Firstly, the upgraders, whereby you have a family, you maybe got your first home and you're looking for a bigger place or you're looking for a better lifestyle. And secondly, it would be your first timers, those who are looking to start their family, or those that are, just wanting to buy their very first property, get their foot into the property market as a single buyer, those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be confused. This slide, right, is not to classify those of you who are here listening to us, right? This slide is to tell you who you should be targeting to sell your property to in the future. Okay. We always like to say, it's best to sell to people that buy for their own stay, because they are looking and they are able to afford it, because they are buying a property for themselves to enjoy, as opposed to an investor that simply wants to buy it at a cheaper price. All right. So moving forward, right, on upgraders.
Yes. So when we talk about the upgrader as your buyer, looking at upgrader as a demand, you then have to consider most upgraders, they come from their first BTO. They probably made quite a little bit of money from their BTO. And the thing to note is that having been in that area for 5 years because of their MOP period, they are likely to want to continue in the area for reasons of, for example, I'm already used to the area. I like the amenities there. My kid is going to that particular primary school, which is really nearby. I can't afford to shift the entire family to another location in Singapore. So from this slide, we can see which are the different estates that have the highest number of MOP units coming up in 2019 to 2023. We sorted it by the numbers. So Punggol, Tampines, and Sengkang came up in the top 3. So these are areas where we feel will have a lot of upgrader demand for your property in the future. So, and then on the flip side, you have to think of the supply of the properties for these upgraders, right? So just now I was talking about upgrader demand. We expect a lot of upgrader demand from Punggol, Sengkang, and Tampines. And then we compare to the supply of upcoming ECs and private residential condominiums that are going to be completed in the near future. This information was taken from URA. So yeah, you can see that, the north is very undersupplied compared to central region. You have quite a good supply in the northeast and the east as well. Yeah, so weighing the supply and the demand, do you see a gap whereby, there might be opportunities for you as somebody who's looking to buy a property to, sell your property in the next 3 to 4 years?
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think, right? Where do you guys see the gap, right? You compare the last slide to this slide.
Yeah.
Okay, let us know where do you see the gap, right? So these are the gaps, right? Whereby if you buy into the properties now and sell to upgraders in the future, right? High upgrader demand but low private supply. These are opportunities whereby you can achieve, right, better gains, because these upgraders, they have to buy, or they want to buy within their areas, right? They do not necessarily want to move to a location that is very, very far away. And if the supply is low, right, they don't have much choices, right? So that is the supply that we get. Let us know your thoughts, right? Whether or not you can see what we see, or if you can spot something that we ourselves never spot. Okay. Maybe on to the next point, right? Zhao Xuan is saying Bukit Batok, right? Low private supply, high upgrader demand. Yeah, that is true. On the west side, right, you notice that they have more or less the same supply as the east, right? Much lesser than the central, but you see a very, very high number of BTO MOPs in the west, right? Little trick and something special to share with you guys. Okay, right. So now moving forward, right? So we are at the midpoint of our presentation now. We want to just say hi to our viewers, right? Yu Hao, Wee Kang, Edmund, Dong Hen, hello, Natalie. Right, so if any of you have any questions, right, feel free to put the questions into the chat now, right? You don't have to wait till the Q&A session so that we don't miss out on your questions later on. Okay, so where's the gap, right, in the first timers market next time if you want to sell to first timers? Okay, so generally, right, so perhaps for the first timers in the audience today, right, share with us a little bit on what are some of your preferences. Okay, but based on our experience, right, first timers tend to like to stay in the RCR, right? So RCR is your city fringe. They like to stay near the MRT, right? Because not a lot of them drive, right? Interesting note also that is a lot of them actually a telltale sign, right, on the area that first timers like to stay. You can actually look at the HDB prices. A lot of the times you notice the HDB prices in those areas are also very, very high. So why do the HDB prices rise so high? It's actually another telltale sign that there is the demand outstrips the supply and hence pushing up the prices so high. And it can apply to the private market as well, right? So you can actually also look at the previous slide, right, really to see all this. But of course, this is something that's a bit harder to see because they like to buy in the central area, right? So the next thing that we want to do, right, it's to share with you guys what are some of the ways and how you can spot these kind of gaps on your own. All right, and we are using two examples, right? Assuming you want to sell to a first timer in the future, right? First timers generally have a budget of between, let's say, 1.1 to 1.2 million. Okay, they want to stay near the MRT and they want the city fringe, right? The RCR. So how does one spot a gap, right? In this, right? Let me share with you guys. Okay.
Yeah. Give us a moment. We are toggling between the screens.
Oh, hi, Eugene. Okay, right. So looking at one of Singaporeans' favorite websites, Property Guru. Okay.
Some people say their hobby every night before they sleep, they will scroll through Property Guru to see what are the good deals out there.
Okay, so actually for us, we like to use this map search function. Okay, so we are looking at condominiums. Okay, right, your budget up to 1.2 million. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are trying to remove the new launch condos, right? Because there tends to be a lot of duplicate listings in those condos. So condos that are completed by 2020. Right, so we'll search them. Okay, we'll start off at Aljunied. Okay, so 1.1 up to $1.2 million budget RCR, right? And you want to buy near the MRT. Okay. Right. So how many units do you see are available? Right. $1.2 million condominium near the Aljunied MRT. Right. 335 listings. Okay. So if you are a seller, you have to compete with these 355 other listings. Okay. And you're a buyer, you get a choice. Right. So what would you choose? Moving up. Right, we go to Potong Pasir, which is a real up and coming area.
Another area very popular among first timers.
Right, so you see 213 compared to just now 335. Okay, another RCR area, we will go over to Toa Payoh.
Here, you only see 6 listings under 1.2 million.
Okay, because it's a mature estate, right? So you don't get much supply in mature estate. So Toa Payoh. Then now we go over to Queenstown, right? All the way down. Queenstown MRT, okay, 98 listing. So Queenstown, Red Hill, Tiong Bahru, very popular area with first timers, okay, right? Just to show, right? We can go to Red Hill, 28 listings, right? So you see, there's quite a big difference in the number of listings, right? So think about it, right? How do you utilize this info to help you in your property investments? The last one, right? We'll go over to Pasir Panjang. Okay. 14 listings, right, over at Pasir Panjang. So, right, food for thought, right? We're not going to give you the answers, but this is something that you can take a look out for, right? How many units are there available now, right? So the next example, right, that we will give, the next exercise that we will do, actually looking at upgraders. Okay, so upgraders, right, they tend to want to stay near to their BTOs, right? And for this particular exercise, we assume that the upgrader will want 4 bedrooms, which is actually something that is quite common nowadays.
Some types of profile would be the parents, the couple with 3 kids and a helper, or maybe 2 kids and a helper, and they also need to house their elderly parents. So, 3 generations in a house. Yeah, so typically they need at least 4 bedrooms of a good size. And if you recall just now, we identified Punggol, Sengkang, and Tampines as the 3 largest towns for upgrader demand. So over here on Property Guru, we have filtered for units of 4 and 5 bedrooms. And yeah, we didn't put a price limit because we just want to see, what is the supply like in these areas. So I think now we are at Punggol and there are only 69 listings of the 4 and 5 bedroom condominium units. We move down to Sengkang, a little bit lesser, 64 listings. Then we go down to Tampines, to the east. Yeah. So here in Tampines, we only see 24 listings of 4 and 5 bedroom condos. So I think it's the same thought that we want to share with the first timers. It's that if you as a property owner, where would you want to be?
Right, maybe as another comparison, right, we can take a look at Pasir Ris. You would notice a significant jump, right? So these are some of the things that really, as an investor, as a buyer, upgrader, something you can look out for. Which area you buy would give you the price advantage in the future, right? So a little extra. So actually, what we are doing today is to add this little extra step into your property analysis, into your upgrading and your investment search, right? Something that not a lot of people do. We know. Okay, right. So how did we spot these gaps, right? Actually do on the ground research, go into Property Guru, play around with it, search, right? Who are your likely competition in the future? Okay, so then of course, we thank all of you for staying with us until the end, right? But of course, I think a lot of questions that you have in your head would be, how do I make use of this info for myself, right? So we have put together, right? After having spotted these gaps, we have put together certain projects and certain properties that we feel, right, will benefit the most from these gaps that we see in the market today, right? And if you'd like to find out more about them, right, and if you'd like to learn more about them, right, get in touch with us, right, with our contact numbers over here, right? And with that, we have come to the end of our Facebook Live, and it will be the Q&A session for now, right? Does anybody have any questions for us? So it's a very quick one today, right? It's not easy that we have to compete with the
elections.
the elections and the elections debate. Yeah, we were watching it before the start of our session also. Yeah. All right. If we don't have any other oh, hi Philip. Yeah, Philip, you're a bit late, but yeah, you can watch the replay. Yeah, so if we don't have any other questions, right? So for those of you who have listened in and you would like us to touch on certain topics that you have questions about, right? Feel free to drop us a text, drop us a message on Facebook, right? And we'll look forward to sharing that session with you 2 weeks from now, with you guys 2 weeks from now. All right. Yeah, so that will be all for us for this session. All right. Thank you guys again for joining us. Right. Good night. Bye-bye.